Andreas Thorkildsen, welcome to Throws Talk, and thank you for giving up your time to be with us today.
Thank you.
This has been probably a difficult winter for you, recovering from injury problem. What was the injury and what was the required surgery from that?
Well, end of the season last year, I had, last summer I had a labrum tear in the hip, something like that. So I went in, had surgery in August. Ever since then, I've pretty much been rehabbing. So it's doctors were saying like 9 months, 6 to 9 months rehab, but it being javelin and not being running. So I'm figuring it's going to be a little bit longer than that. So
it's a conservative look at the season. You think you maybe?
Yeah, right now I'm like, well, I'll figure out eventually, like if I'm throwing this year or not. We'll see.
Okay. And so far, how's your progress been? What have you been doing up to now?
Well, it's been a bit ups and downs, really, because rehab's gone like backwards and forwards, and it's like sometimes it's been like 1 step forward, 2 steps back, and then so I've started to throw a bit, just trying to work on my throwing strength a little bit. So I've been throwing a little bit off the grass, which felt okay. So we'll see. I'll try to progress slowly.
Osmond, your coach, was saying that actually the hip injury forced you to work on your arm mechanics and things that you perhaps hadn't done for a while, and that seems to be progressing well.
Yeah, we've been doing a lot more like throwing strength. Yeah. So like a lot of 2K balls and stuff like that, which I wouldn't probably throw that much if I could use my legs more. So right now I'm pretty strong for throwing strength. So, but you got to get the legs involved sometime.
And also, your strength is something that you've become renowned for. There's a lot of films out there, in particular your 200-kilo bench press, which was a big mark for you as well. This has always been an interesting thing we've spoken about before. Why, for you, is bench press important as a javelin thrower?
Well, I think it's because I don't get like stiff, like my shoulders, they don't stiffen up from it. So, and it's always been a good lift for me. So, I like it a lot. So that's why I went for the 200. But I've been able to like, stretch my shoulders back out to like even just having the power that I get from the bench press, I actually get to use it while I'm throwing. Okay. So not everybody does that. And
you stressed to me also the importance of the stretch reflex, and that helps you to get the stretch reflex in the shoulders.
Yeah, that's why I've been doing it a little bit. Is because it actually does help. But you have to. Your shoulder has to be in this right place for it to be used also. So that's, well, I'm kind of lucky there.
And also your training, I mean, you're now 33. You've done a lot of gymnastics training in the past. How has your training changed now compared to what you did, obviously, as a younger thrower?
Well, I've kept a lot of it the same. I have a pretty good and varied training week. So I'll do a lot, like I don't necessarily lift a lot. I'll do a lot of gymnastics, a lot of jumps, a lot of sprints and all that stuff. So it's very varied still, not necessarily this year because of the injuries, but it would be a very varied training schedule if I weren't injured.
Now, as you're quite an old thrower in terms of javelin, particularly, it's so hard on the body. Is there anything that you look back on and think, well, I wish I'd done more of that when I was younger? What advice to young throwers would you do in terms of training?
I don't know really. I'm pretty happy with what I've done. I think a lot of the gymnastics has helped for my upper body at least, for being able to handle the throw. Throwing a jab is actually pretty stupid because you're running like full speed and then you stop in like 1 or 2 steps. So you will get injured. It's just there's no way out about it. So like I don't think you can't like safeguard yourself 100%. Sometimes you just got to go for it, and then either you can handle it or not.
the last couple of years, is there, other than the hip injury, have there been other issues that have held you back a little bit?
No, most of the stuff has come from the hip. It was pretty hard because it was not necessarily very easy to diagnose at in the beginning. So it took a long time, and I went through a lot of different treatment, a lot of different physios, doctors, and stuff like that before I ended up having surgery. Kind of like a last resort.
And you threw 90 meters for the last time in 2011, so it's been a few years since then. But luckily, the event hasn't really moved on. So the distances at the Olympics in 2012 were nothing for your standards that special.
Yeah, I don't really see. Well, last year was actually. I saw you saw the standard we raised a little bit again, but I don't think that the jab is going to change that much. It seems like it's kind of settled in terms of the distances needed to throw to win. So I don't think, unless somebody new comes along and does something that we haven't seen before, then I think it'll stay like where it is right now.
And you and Tero have enjoyed lots of battles in the past. Has been one of your main rivals. There's a few young guys coming through now. What do you think of the young talent? Shaun, of course. Yeah,
I think Walcott especially just needs a few years to stabilize on the 85 plus level. Also, Thomas Wöhle is looking good. So it'll be interesting, but it's very hard to predict where anybody can go.
We've seen the emergence of a few non-javelin countries, like certainly Kenya and Egypt, showing now on the horizon.
Yeah, it's been, but they haven't. Their problem has been consistency, and that's the biggest difference to the people that win consistently. As that's where Tero has been really good, and where a lot of more, I guess, settled throwers have been really good.
It must be difficult for you, having won everything in the sport in your event and holding Olympic, European and world titles at the same time. What's your motivation now? How do you keep pushing yourself to get up and train and put yourself through all that every day?
Well, right now my mind is more or less on Rio. That's like the goal I kind of set, whereas I wouldn't have had surgery or anything like that if it wasn't for Rio coming up next year. And that's why I'm not sure if I'm throwing this year, because everything is pretty much put in towards Rio. Yeah. So that's my motivation right now.
And also, it must be difficult for you. You're incredibly recognisable within Norway. It must be difficult sometimes. Is that one of the reasons you like to get away and train in places like this in San Diego?
Yeah, that, and of course the weather. You can't really beat it. Yeah, it's sometimes it's just nice to get a change of scenery, and also see some different athletes. It's incredibly inspirational to go in the weight room here and you see Joe and all those guys doing 300K squats, 200K bench press, and that's just an average Monday, we don't really get that much of that at home, so it's been fun coming out here.
I think the training center here has been very successful for a lot of European athletes that have come over and used it, perhaps even more so than the American athletes.
Yeah, it's actually surprising how few of the American athletes that actually come here. But I guess a lot of them are based at their colleges and stuff like that. It's different system.
And again, at the end, or coming towards, I don't want to say that you're finishing anytime soon and you've got big goals ahead, I know, but looking back over your career, there's been a lot of highs. What particularly were the real high moments for you?
It's hard to pick and choose. I guess Beijing was really, of course, Athens and Beijing, and they're the biggest ones, but Olympic record was pretty special for me. Yes. Because the first one in Athens, 86.50 is a good mark, but it's you know, it's been done before. But actually throwing the Olympic record, which is, you know, the previous one was pretty good, so I was happy when I beat that one.
And a lot of good throwers gone before you and on that mark, so it's nice to usurp Jan in some of those marks.
It's one of the few things where we're actually better than Jan. So, because, you know, his championship record at Worlds is pretty high. So
the Europeans, he always got beaten by Backley, so that was always a tough one.
I would have wanted to have the championship record in the Europeans too. I came close twice. That would have been fun.
Well, you've got a couple more chances. I mean, 2016 is going to be interesting, I think, for the javelin, because they're going to have the qualification out on the main square in Amsterdam, the museum plain. So that'll be a fun, different environment.
Yeah.
So is that in your plans, or would you focus right on Rio? I mean, it's.
I don't really know. I haven't looked that hard into it. Like next year, but I think I'll do Europeans next year. If everything goes the way I want it, I'll probably do most of like Diamond Leagues, and all that stuff. So we'll see.
And get back to competing, which you've missed for a while.
Yeah, that's pretty much priority number one.
Well, it's always great to talk to you. I appreciate you giving up your time, and look forward to seeing you when you're back to full health. So good luck with all that.
Thank you.
Thanks, man.